Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching Cairo Local Time. And today we are talking about Prince Charles' current visit to Egypt. And now we are joined over the phone by Professor Ayman Musallem, Chairman of the ASCE International Committee of Los Angeles, and he is going to talk to us about Egyptian-UK relations. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, Mr. Ayman, let's focus on Egyptian-UK relations as they share cultural and historical relations. So, can you shed light on them?
Sure. Actually, the ties between UK and Egypt, as you know, been hundreds of years.
Yes.
And the very important relationship that actually became even more solid in the recent few years are in the economics, commercial, yes, cultural, and educational. So, of course, in this time, the government of Egypt is putting a lot of effort in enhancing the economic status of the country. And UK recently is showing their interest in the commercial ties with Egypt, where we can see that evidence that we have 900 English company or UK invested company operating now in Egypt. That's a yes, huge number as compared to other countries, even in Europe. And we're talking about only in the recent 2, 3, 4 years, we have up to 40-some billion Egyptian pounds only in 2019. So that reflects the interest, and I mentioned before in several incidents that the attraction of the investment, whether it is UK or other investors, are totally dependent on the security of the country. And I think that has been proven in the last few years that Egypt has been, relative to all other countries surrounding, in a stable condition, so the investors are more attracted, more secure to come and invest. Not only this, the UK investors, they look at few attractive investment opportunities. For example, in Egypt, the natural resources of wind, solar energy, and already there's some English companies are working in both of them, in Za'afran and others, but the solar energy is the highest potential for them. And as you know, maybe some people didn't know, well, the English has collaborated with the Egyptian back in 1920s or 1919, before the First World War I. And the first ever solar energy operated irrigation station was in Maadi, and was actually established by an English scholar, and also he's also a big investor who lived in Egypt for at least 10 years or so. And so we were actually number one ever outside England to start working in solar energy, and that shows the deep ties and the old ties in issues like solar and other natural resources. Of course, the oil and gas, we know that the giant English company, BP, the British Petroleum, for example, for at least for the last decade or so, have put heavy investment in different areas, in the new discovery in the Mediterranean. We have also in the Miyat and Port Said. So PP also, as I said, is one of the largest investors in Egypt, and those are UK companies.
Yes.
And the other thing, and these are, when we talk about natural resources, I'd like also to mention the human side of natural resources. One of the great assets of Egypt, and that's really true, is the potential workforce of many well-educated professionals, especially in the medical field, because there is a high demand. Especially, this was very obvious in the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. I know personally few young doctors that has contracted with different hospitals in UK, and they are there for the last 2 years, and I think they are doing very well. So this is something that I think we need to identify. It's a very, very important resource and a card that we need to use because, as I said, not every country can export well-educated professionals, and that's very important. So the other thing is related to the commercial, but also cultural and environmental.
Yes.
That both UK and Egypt, in the past few years, they already have signed a memorandum, an agreement for green economy, which is actually high priority, as you can see from the political leadership of Egypt, as well as particularly Prince Charles.
Yes.
He always advocates for that particular area. So we, in Egypt at least, you can see that for the past 4 or 5 years, there's huge amount of provision for environmental protection, for decreasing the use of natural resources. So already the two countries are working on that. The only thing that maybe affected the progress a bit was the COVID-19 issue.
Yes.
Also, you have to look at the tourists. As you know, there's many types of tourists, and that's really true. Some of them are a little bit low-income tourists, and the high-income tourists, and the medium-sized income tourists. The British tourists are classified as a high, so they invest. I'll tell you something. On October 20th or 22nd of 2019, the British government lifted a restriction on traveling to Egypt. Although it was really still in the high, intense period during the pandemic. There is an estimate about 500,000, or precisely 476 British nationals visited Egypt in only 2019, and never had any trouble. And this information is not from the Egyptian sources. This is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in England. I'd like also to show you the relationship from the educational side.
Yes.
And we have been interacting with England for many, many years, maybe 100 years or so.
Yes.
And the many of the professors later on became most of them high ranked, like in the cabinet, like ministers and so. They were actually completed their graduate studies and lived in UK. One of the pioneers that all of us proud of is Dr. Mustafa Musharraf.
Yes.
The very well-known scientist and physicist. And UK, they are proud of him too. I mean, they are actually always mentioning their name. And for that, the British Council, in a partnership with the Central Department of Missions, they have initiated a scholarship. We call it Newton Musharrafa Program.
Yes.
And many PhD students have already gotten the benefit of that program.
Yes, I'd like to thank you. Yes, unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I'd like to thank you, Professor Ayman Musallem, Professor at University of California and Chairman of the ASCE International Committee of Los Angeles. Thank you, sir, for your information. And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Cairo Local Time. Stay tuned for our special coverage to Prince Charles' current visit to Egypt.